Hello, everyone. You are listening to Those Are the Girl with Mallory and Friends. I'm Mallory,
And I'm Isabel.
and we are changing culture and bringing out traditional values. Hello, everybody.
Yes,
Happy
we are.
Monday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are here for a Teacap. Finally, a Teacap that's not just me. Isabel's back. She was in the last episode.
I'm like,
Yeah. She's in the last episode. If you haven't heard some advice for your 30s and such. So we're back. We have much to discuss, but before we get into the discussions, how was your week?
it was lovely. I think every single week is like, it goes by fast, just like super fast. And I'm like, okay, what day are we in? But no, it was good overall. What about yours?
That's good. My week was, I feel like it was such a busy week for me. The day
Yeah, same.
before we're recording this, so we're recording this on Sunday night actually. Saturday morning, I had
Uh-huh.
a vendor opportunity at a church. They did a women's empowerment brunch, so that was really fun. And I was kind of preparing for that this
I
week.
saw that.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was such an it was very impactful because the speaker just talked about, like, as women, what does God say our role is, not like what the world says, not what some maybe well-meaning pastors say, but what does the Bible actually say our role is. It was good. It was very good, impactful. I'm excited. They do something every couple of months, so I told them, I was like, yeah, like, remember me, I'd come back again. So it was fun. It was just a busy week.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I was gonna tell you about it. I'm like, I'm sure you had fun. It looked like a very like organized, put together event.
Yeah, not
So it's always good to have like women together, like-minded women, like, especially if you're like a girl's girl. It's always nice to go out into like your community and like actually get to have conversations with these women that maybe do the similar things that you do. I think it's pretty cool to kind of see and, get tips and all that. I don't think I had an event this week. Nothing really crazy going on, but it was a slower week. So but this week should be fun. We're going to a friend's birthday dinner and it's gonna be like Latin night, so I'm excited to go
that's
dance.
fun.
Yes.
That sounds like it's gonna be a good weekend. Is it gonna be during the week or the weekend?
Yeah,
Oh,
the weekend, so
fun.
Friday. But yeah, Friday. I usually try not to do something during the week, like my social battery. I was just telling my friend this. I'm like, I'm like intro extrovert, like to the point where like yes, I like to go out, but at the same time, like it has to be like one day out of the week. Like I can't do like back and forth. And then I do have like a time limit. Like once I feel like I talk to enough people, all that, it's like, all right, I gotta go recharge. See you guys back in 5 to 6 business days.
That's funny.
Like I made it a joke when I was like single. I'm like, yeah, I'll respond like in 30 seconds or 3 to 5 business days, just depending how my social battery is. But that's how extroverts, that's how we get energized. Like that's how we like feel like the I guess that's how we thrive, but it's also like we get our energy back from like literally rotting in bed for like 2 or 3 days and they're like, all right, we're
Yeah.
back out. So
I
anyways.
I will say I get
Mm.
my energy from other people. Like I love
Hmm.
hanging out and like spending time with people, but what I'm realizing is, like, when I'm tired of spending time with people, no offense to the people, it's the
Hmm.
people, not necessarily like what I'm doing. Because I have some friends that, like, whenever I'm with them, I just so happy, like, I never want to leave. And then I have some friends that, like, I can only do a certain amount of time with them, and then it's kind of like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, which is like normal. I
yeah,
feel like you start learning like, all right, these are my cues.
yeah,
Like I don't want to go someplace where I'm not gonna be my most
yeah,
like self. Like, if you're having to like carry out conversations, stuff like that, like it's just
yeah,
not gonna work out. Like I'd rather just stay home. I'm very like I'm either zero, I'm like 0 to 100. Like if I go out, I'm gonna be committed. I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna be cheery, like let's go, you know. But if I'm like inside, like I'm going to commit to that too. And by 9 o'clock, I will be having my face, everything will be
your
like,
skincare. You're doing your
whatever it's called. What is
skincare.
it called? Like
Yeah.
my face
Yeah.
mask,
Okay.
lip gloss, all that stuff. Like I'm in bed. My skincare, I
Yeah.
am in bed by 9:30. You
Oh,
try to
yeah,
call me
yeah,
at
yeah.
10,
During
I'm
the
not
week,
gonna
that's
answer. I'll
110%
see you
me.
next morning.
Anybody that's my friend,
Yeah.
by 9:30, my do not disturb is on, and I'm sorry,
Yeah.
like, text me, send me all the things. I'm probably not going to respond because honestly, by 9:30, I would like to be asleep.
Yeah, that's so funny. I feel like there's two kinds of people, like the do not disturb people, and the people you can always like call and like they're gonna answer. I'm like, I say I want to be the person that you call, I'm always gonna answer,
Yeah.
but like mentally, I'm like a do not disturb. I just don't put it on my phone. But no, no. Actually, speaking of weekend Sunday, but yesterday I went to my little sister's friend's spring
Oh,
show. Like it's a high school show. It's like freshman drill team. And I told you this before. I used to dance. So I was in drill team. It was kind of like a 180. I was like, oh, like it was just so. It was bittersweet watching the girls like dance and
oh,
perform. And I was like, oh, I got to do that once upon a time. And then they did a really special like seniors dance, and they were like, this is the last time these singers are gonna take the stage. And I was just thinking how like I don't know. I was just getting very
emotional.
like
Yeah.
metaphorical and like super, sappy. But it was just crazy because yes, I was like, oh wow, like you do get a last. There's always a last thing for like something or whatever, and it's you just never know at the time, or sometimes you do. But anyways, like that was the girls' last time on stage with their classmates, and I was like, oh, like that was me, and I'm old. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah. Anyways, besides that, I realized that I'm the kind of person that like I wear stuff to the ground. Like if I buy something, like for example, this jean jacket, I bought it I think like last week. I've been wearing it ever since, and I'm like, that's the thing. Like if I find something and I really like it, I will literally wear it to the ground. Then I'll get tired of it and probably never wear it again. But for right now,
No,
this is like the
same.
jacket of the
My
moment.
sweater,
I've been
I don't
wearing it
have it
like every day.
on. Well, no, same. First of all, this sweatshirt,
Now I'm wearing it on
it's been
Clubhouse.
like cold. Like I've worn. If you were watching the show, you're probably like, "Wow, did she record like 6 videos in a row?" No, I did not. This is just such a very comfy sweatshirt that I really like. And when I did my color analysis, this was the color that like brightens up my face. So now I'm also even more
Oh
empowered. Yeah, it's like a
yes.
green teal.
Is that green?
I am
Oh, I
a
like
bright winter. That's what
it.
I am. So these colors, like bright
Oh, okay,
winter
okay.
colors, are the ones that like light me up. And like when you wear like colors that aren't really your colors, yeah, it was really interesting. I'm gonna have her on the podcast because like I
Oh, that's
want you guys to hear like
interesting.
her talk about it. It was so interesting. Yeah,
Oh,
you
okay,
should, and it's
okay.
just $45.
I want to
Now, if
do that.
you could, I mean, you're an influencer, so
Yeah,
you probably can do like the real $300 one, like in person. Probably, I'm assuming maybe for
yeah.
like discounted, but in person it is $300. Like,
Oh,
so that's why
I'm
I
like,
didn't do
oh,
that one. But I really liked the girl.
that's crazy.
But yeah, and yeah, that's why I did the online one. But I'm very
You're
like
like, that's why I
comfortable and
didn't do
satisfied. She
it.
sent me my Pinterest board with like the colors of jewelry I should be wearing, the makeup I should wear, different lipsticks. Yes, yeah, yes. And
Oh,
she was great. So I've been
wow. That's pretty
obsessed. It was
cool.
legit. Like honestly, I don't
That's
necessarily know if
legit.
a $300 one would be worth it. Like she
Yeah.
did a great job with the yeah, yeah. She did a
With
great
whatever you
job.
have,
So
or she works with your budget. That's awesome.
100%. And I
And
think
I
as
feel
I'm
like that's
getting
better
older,
than
I do want
nothing.
to know like more because I am working on a capsule wardrobe. I want to see like more what's flattering for me. Like what can I do that just brings out
Yes.
myself.
Yeah, I was just telling my makeup artist yesterday has a glam squad because I'm doing a partnership with Glam Squad. They are like a
Oh.
professional mobile like beauty services company. So they come out and do like your nails, your hair, your makeup. So they actually did my hair. She did a top knot. This is actually from like I did this, but yesterday it kind of helped that I already had like hairspray and my hair was dirty. But I was just saying how like it's not you kind of learn like towards your
Mhm.
20s you kind of like play with a lot of like wardrobe styles all
Mhm.
that stuff to where you feel comfortable and you're like okay this is me like to your point like a capsule wardrobe so now it's like I am trying to be minimalistic like I'm not gonna buy something unless I know I can wear it with multiple like if I can't wear a piece of clothing more than 3 times like literally like I said this
Mhm.
jacket like I'm not gonna buy it because I just don't see it as an investment. It's just more of like it's a trendy thing, it's gonna come and go. It just takes a broom, it's too expensive to keep doing that. And honestly, you don't even wear. I forgot what the percentage was, but it was like a really cool statistics where it was like a certain small percentage is actually worn on your closet. Like, oh, there's only a small percentage in the clothing that you actually wear. Everything
Yeah.
else you literally just keep in your closet forever and ever until it collects dust. So that's not just like now it's more of just like it's not really like
Mhm.
changing your look or whatever.
Mhm.
It's just
And
enhancing what you already
yeah,
have.
well, and when I had
So that's
Carla
my
from
little
Culture
tip
of
of the
Life
day.
on, she made a good point that like nowhere as Christians, nowhere in the Bible does say we have to be frumpy. So like
Uh-huh.
that's not like a fruit of the spirit, frumpiness. So what you
No.
yeah, so you can put some effort into
Like
it. And
lazy,
that doesn't
frumpy
mean you have to
looking.
like dress completely up all the time, wear dress all the time. That's that's fine. I mean, I do that most of the time. If you know me in real life, I'm probably wearing a dress. But, it is okay for us to put some effort into like how we look. So that's one of the
Right.
things that I am really been into lately. It's just like working on that, especially like you said, as I'm gotten older, I kind of want to like um dress more for my style. Like I'm kind of like figuring out what best represents me, and it's fun. Like I'm just like a girly girl in that sense. It's fun to me.
Mhm.
Anyway, we have a lot of things to go over.
Yeah.
Before we do that, two morning announcements. Come to the tea party June
Yes.
1st. If you live in the Charlotte area, I'll link the tickets to that. Join the Patreon. It'll really help out a lot. But you can join for as low as $5 a month. I'll also have a link to that. All right, are you ready? Do you have a cup or something? If not, it's okay. We can. Okay. Well, we will fake
No.
clink.
No, I don't have it.
Okay.
But
Here we go.
cheers.
Our main stories for today. First thing is I kind of want to talk about the last 2 weekends was Coachella. And someone pointed this out on and on TikTok I saw.
Hmm.
Like it isn't because I remember Coachella was like the moment. I remember thinking like I'm gonna go to Coachella one day. It looks so fun. The outfits, the this, the that. I cannot wait to go to Coachella one day. And yeah, but like now I
Like
couldn't
you're
care
gonna go in
less, and I
debt
feel
trying to
like
go to
it really
Coachella.
wasn't. I mean, everybody was talking about how Lana looked. Lana looked fabulous. She is so beautiful. And I think she did a great job. She brought out like Camila Cabello, but like I haven't really heard anything else really about it. Like it hasn't really been like, no, it hasn't really been like I said
Trending or
before, it was like
anything.
who's and even like the influencers, they used to send influencer trip, like people like really big influencers, they would send them there, and it's just kind of like, boy, like what?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's like not like that anymore, which is
Like
very
big
interesting.
TikTok
So I was
girls,
like
all
looking
that.
at like who was headlining this year, and I looked it up, and it's like Lana Del Rey, Tyler the Creator, Doja Cat, Suki Waterhouse, yes, Gwen Stefani,
Wasn't Gwen
Little
Stefani
Yachty. I'm
part of
like looking at
that?
names that like we would know, like us girlies. Jay Blavin, BB Rexa, Sabrina Carpenter, which is so crazy because these are kind of like big names, but like nobody cares. It's so weird.
Big names. Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know, dude, because like I
Oh,
never
you
really heard
okay?
anything much of it. Like actually I do have friends that went, like my personal circle. I have two friends that went to Coachella, but they didn't
Yeah,
even tell me anything about it until I was like, "Oh, they're in Palm Springs." Like, I think they got sent out by Celsius official or whatever. That's who they went with, but apparently they didn't even go to the show. It was just the brand. It's just like Celsius official invited them to like a party or like a pre-party or whatever. I really don't know because I've never been, but apparently it was just like brands inviting the influencers and stuff to just the brand uh
that's
party or like whatever. It
interesting.
wasn't necessarily to Coachella. So
That's interesting.
maybe
I
that
wonder
was
if
also
this is
like a
kind of
change.
like
Yeah.
a. Oh, sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead. Go ahead. No, you go.
so I will say, no, I'm sorry, what go? I was just saying from like coming from like a lifestyle influencer, I'm just kidding. Coming from some like influencer, right? I have influencer friends, a lot of some of them are pretty big, and just kind of talking to them in the industry, what's going on. A lot of the trends now, it's like brands aren't really working with influencers as much as they used to because they haven't found like the ROI specifically that I guess like I guess that they were looking for. So they're just really working with like very high end influencers, and then everybody else just kind of
Ooh,
like
no, that's some
bye,
tea.
like they don't want to work with us and stuff. And so I mean, but I think it all goes back to budget. So the economy is trash, like it truly is, from like a marketplace, like from a it's an employer market, meaning like if you're unemployed, it's really hard to get a job right now because the hiring managers have the upper hand. So I'm thinking from like a business perspective, from like a company ROI perspective, they're not like before it was like influencer mania. Like if you were unemployed, if, like trying to get to corporate, or if you're an influencer trying to work with brands, like you were it. Like they wanted anything, anybody, and everybody to work to represent the brand. Whereas now they're having budget cuts. They're working with leaner budgets. So that definitely affects the influencer market and like the kind of influencers that they want to work with. So it's not just like, hey, we're gonna fly you all out and get you expense paid products, flights, everything compensated, and you don't even have to post us. Now it's like, no, they need to know from like, once you have a budget, there's a manager, right? You have to get like
Yeah.
allocation, you have to get approval. I don't know. This is just me thinking like, I mean, I went to business school and whatever. I've worked in corporate America and now influencing. Like I've just seen like a decline in like, oh, like brands willing to like do all of these crazy exclusive trips because everyone's really just working with a very lean budget, and meaning like they want influencers to actually provide like ROI. They don't just care about, oh, can you tag us on your story? They want to see like what are you bringing to the table, and like are these actually getting conversions into like sales or product sales or whatever they're trying to promote. So maybe that has to do something with Coachella, because like it's just
Yeah.
really weird that like out of
That
all the
is
years, like this is a
so
year like we haven't heard
interesting.
anything, you know?
I that never crossed my mind. That makes me think though, sometimes when I'm listening to my entrepreneur podcast, they will make comments like, you would think that this big influencer, when they post, you would get so many likes, or even you get like, you give send a product, so you're thinking, okay, everybody's gonna buy it, or you have even like
Yeah.
a big influencer on your podcast, you think everybody's gonna listen, but really it's not like that. I've heard entrepreneurs, like specifically like jewelry, they say like a lot of time they prefer to send to people with like
Hmm.
5,000 or less, because the followers they have are a little bit more committed than people with like, 50,000 followers sometimes.
Yeah, and like back then they wanted
Yeah,
to
they
work with
say that you
anyone,
get
but
more
now it's like,
sales
oh, like how many
sometimes
sales are
from
you
the
actually generating
less
from
followers,
like
because their
these
followers are more
collabs and
committed,
stuff?
I guess. I think loyal. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Like
interesting.
loyal. Yeah. So brands, yeah, and brands are looking at now like, okay, do these influencers
Mhm.
are actually bringing like the bottom
Mhm.
dollar? Because at the end of the day, companies are they want to be profitable, right? So it's like that's the budget that they have to allocate to these influencers. It's just like any business. Like they don't, like I always say, brands don't want to work with me. I mean, yes, there's a certain like they want to work with me because I'm Isabel, because they like my style, they like my aesthetic,
Mhm.
they like what I represent.
Mhm.
But they really want to get to my followers. They want to get to my audience, because my audience is loyal to me, which if I promote something, then they're gonna want to buy it because it's me that I'm the one promoting it. So, but that's just like a whole different thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is just me trying to see like what's going on in the market, the trends, and like what I'm seeing like from like a influencer like a
No, I think
background.
you're onto
But who knows?
something.
Maybe I
Well, I
could
think
be
you're onto
totally wrong.
something, because remember,
I'm
I
just
think it was like a
saying,
year or two
you
years ago,
know?
there was that big trip of those influencers girls that went to like Turks and Caicos or something. And I remember thinking like, and they were posting pictures. It looked like the most amazing brand
Yeah,
trip. I do remember thinking, now what is the point of this? How much money? Because like, I'm just going to buy anything from them. I'm jealous. I want to go on the trip myself
yeah,
for free, but I certainly am not
right,
going to purchase anything from you. It was like a makeup company or something. I cannot remember what
right.
brand it was, but I think it was a Tarte. Yeah, I think it
I
was
know what you're
to
talking
Dubai.
about.
It was
I
they
think it
went to
was Tarte,
Dubai, and it
or
looked so
it was
nice.
Tarte.
Yeah, they went to
Yeah, because
Dubai.
they
Tarte
had.
took them and I remember like,
Oh,
what?
really? Well, if it's all like back to like their
Yeah,
marketing dollars, right? Like if you think about it, like those girls, right? They have, let's just say, it's not necessarily, you're not spending money on, like for me, right? They're not spending money for me to personally come out. I mean, yes,
right. They're
they're
just giving
not
me the trip.
paying me to promote their products, right? They're not giving me money monetarily, but the trade-off is that I'm obviously going to post it on my Instagram or whatever, because I'm trying to like show how much fun I'm having, or whatever the reason is. But then it's like I have, let's just say I have what, almost 9,000 followers. Then you have another girl that has 10,000. Then you have another girl that has 12,000. Then you have another girl that has 20,000. Add all of those up. That's how many people they're getting in front of. That's what they care about. And like for them to spend money on like products and whatever is like not as much as if
Yeah,
they would spend just
I
working with
guess,
one
but
person, trying to contract that one person. You see what I'm saying? It's like, okay, it's much easier to get a bunch of girls that and spend all expense paid plus one. When you tally all of that up, it's probably more convenient to do that than to
Yeah.
try and pay each and every influencer and work with like a million influencers. I don't know. That's what I'm just seeing because I am seeing like a switch. I think like I was telling my friend, I think in 2020, that was a really good year to like really like leverage what you were doing for social media and make it full time. Like I think a lot of
Yeah.
girls ended up going full time in 2020 because we were all at home. We were all like companies weren't adding to their headcount. They were trying to just work with what they had, and I was working with big brands, like
Yeah.
big brands, and now it's like, hello, I'm here, like I think it's like it's definitely hard out here now. Just even trying to get into their PR list and everything. But again, I think it just comes down to like companies are
Yeah.
really trying to figure out what's bringing them more top dollar, and is it really just pulling like a bunch of influencers, a bunch of girls or guys, whatever, to promote their product,
Yeah.
or really just finding their top
That's
like
interesting.
influencers to work with for the long term. So anyways, I didn't
Yeah.
want to get off on a tangent, but maybe that has to do something with Coachella because it's weird that we haven't heard from them or
A
anything.
hundred percent.
Influencers, if they were
Especially
on it,
because the
they would
artists
have been
are
like,
big
hey, I'm
artists.
going
So
to
people
Coachella, blah blah blah,
who
like
like
this and this and that.
we care about.
So
Now, my question to you is if
yeah.
you were to do 3 Coachella headlines, who would you want to headline? If you were to do three headliners.
I'm like, that's. I feel like I'm an
Go
R&B
for it.
girl,
Who?
so
Name.
like
Name
definitely R&B
some.
artists. I don't know. Uh, I'm like, I don't know. Gosh, that's hard. Shoot. I'm like, shoot. I
Oh,
don't
that's a
know.
yeah.
Gwen Stefani. I think she was on it
Yeah.
actually. You know that? You know the song that I'm just a girl. A lot of these
Yeah.
artists are making
Well,
like a comeback because their
sorry
songs
to
are
cut
trending
you
on
off. This
TikTok.
made me think of something else
So probably like
too,
Gwen
really quick.
Stefani,
Um,
and then
there
oh, you're
was
fine.
a, a video going viral of Christina Aguilera singing and how she did a really nice run. She went from like up here to Christina Aguilera can sing. And someone was like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, perfect example. So she
Yeah, I
can
would probably have
sing.
Christina Aguilera too.
And
Sorry.
someone was like, we need an artist, like, why don't any of these new artists do runs like that? And it's like, I love new music. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Olivia Rodrigo, Sabrina Carpenter, but like because they can't. Like, that's something I noticed too. Like, not trying to be mean, but a lot of these new artists aren't we like them because of their personality and their vibe, not necessarily because of like they're singing up they're talented. Yeah. And I'm not saying they're not
They're
talented, but I'm saying like
talented.
let's be honest, like Ariana Grande is probably one of the last artists that can like go high and that has like a real like talent. And I would even say like and I know people this might be controversial. I even say like Demi
Yeah.
Lovato has like the talent. Selena Gomez, for example, love Selena Gomez.
Oh
I don't think she
yeah. Yeah,
has
yeah,
like that
yeah.
talent that like some of the vocals. Yeah, yeah.
Like the vocal, like artistry. Yeah, no, I get it. And I think like now, like I said, it goes back to
Mm-hmm.
advertising and stuff. Like if you think about it, like nowadays you can get on TikTok and people can really
Tate
like for
McRae.
example that the girl that sings the Greedy song, what's her name? Yeah, it's like I hear a lot of controversy about her because they're like, how the hell is she? How the heck is she in like? How the heck is
What?
she like in like
Yeah.
the
Right.
not Grammys?
Yeah.
I don't know. I forgot what like award show, but she was in award shows. She was in talk shows, and everyone's like, I'm sorry, what? Like she just looks like the everyday girl, but at the same time, it's like the way people are getting famous now is so different from like the Nellies and the Demi Lovatos and the Ashantis. Like I love me some Ashanti. I love me some like Beyonce. Well, I do like some of Beyonce songs. Like let me be real, because in high school I was listening to her stuff. Like Halo had just came out. A lot of girls in the dance world
Yeah.
were doing like songs to Halo. I mean,
Like
forever
those are
since Halo,
singers.
like
Yeah.
Destiny's Child, like all of that. Like and now that's what you see. Like that's yeah, and even with like J Lo, like she
Range.
obviously
Yeah.
I don't think she's very vocal. Like she doesn't have a lot of vocal talent, but she's like an OG to where like she had to work like her butt off to get to where she's at,
Yeah.
and like even now she's still hustling. Like those people are still hustling. Like Nelly, all of those people, they're still hustling because
Mm-hmm.
how they got famous back then was like a lot of like networking, like trying to do things in like Hollywood, blah blah blah. Whereas now it's like you can take off and on TikTok. But I also think it's like just because a video goes viral doesn't really mean you're gonna
A
grow and be a
hundred
pop star.
percent.
It just
Cause
it's
I'm
like
thinking
it's
about
just
that
what you do with it and like how you
ABC
leverage
girl.
it.
That's the only song I know by her. And I don't know if you ever looked up ABC on Spotify. Y- Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a one hit wonder, you know?
And
It's like
it's
a one
not
hit
even
wonder. You
just
could be a one hit wonder, and
yeah.
then that's just it. They were talking about that. This girl on TikTok, she was like a marketing coach or whatever. Like I don't know what she was. She was kind of showing like trends and marketing stuff, and she's like, if I was Beyonce's PR team, I would do this or I would do that. And she was talking about these TikTokers, like how some of them didn't evolve with the times and how they didn't leverage the fame that they were getting, and now they just kind of plateaued to where people that actually did something and were changing their strategy and being more relatable and doing more lifestyle and kind of I guess adhering to what the audiences wanted versus sticking to just one thing. And she found out that those people were like actually
Addison.
continuing, kind of like
Addison
for
Ray.
a good example, the what's her face, the girl Addison, like
Mm-hmm.
Addison and all those girls like in
Yeah.
2020, all they did was the little TikToks and all that. And then
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where they died. Like they rose and then they fell really quickly. And it's like now you don't hear from them because they kind of just didn't know what to do. Like maybe their PR team didn't advise them or
I
whatever.
mean, we can
Now, I'm
still
not saying
critique.
like I know better than them because hello. I've been like 8 hours. But like what I'm
Alex
seeing, you
Earl.
know, and then it's like other girls
Mm-hmm.
like the uh Alex Earl, right? She is really good at like really solidifying her niche and like what she's good at and the get readies with me, and now she's like expanding her horizons and involving other things like her boyfriend and all that stuff. And so she's someone that she was saying like she knows what she's doing. She's trying to grow her brand. She's also adjusting to the times because again, a lot of it is things that are like trending at the time and you just kind of have to go with like, but that's everything. Like I even told my friend, I was like, girl, we got to evolve. If you don't evolve, you die. Any company or brand that doesn't evolve, you're gonna die.
No,
And that's just the
no,
harsh
you're making a
reality.
lot of
But
sense. And
yeah,
I want to
anyways,
add,
I don't even know if that made sense, but
and I want to add really quick. We were talking about the ABC girl.
just kidding.
This is how she like can't evolve. If you've ever gone to Spotify, the ABCDEFU girl, she
Yeah,
has it's that song. There's an angrier version, a nicer version, a chill version, the wild remix, the demo, and another chill. Now, these are all the exact same song, but like in parentheses. And
wow.
it's like, girlie, you got to what else? What else you got for us?
Which
Like
is like,
I like the song personally, but it's like, come on, come on.
because, but it and there is
Yeah.
a pressure because okay, like I mean, act like I'm a celebrity, but my video went viral, right? And it's like everyone wants to go viral until you're like, oh crap, like my video went viral. Now what do I do with this like engagement? What do I do with this reach? And that's why it's so important to really solidify who you are as a brand before you even get to that level. Because then it's like, oh crap, like I told my friend, I was like, I feel so much pressure now, like a pressure to post because I feel like my video has
Yeah.
to perform the same way that my last video performed. But I think it's all goes back to like whoever's advising them, because I'm sure it's not just them.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have PR teams. So honestly, shame to the
Yeah.
PR teams, not them, because they're just trying to like get advice. Like you're supposed to be advising me on what to do. But we've seen this all time. It's not just TikTok and influence. Now it's like different because there's influencers and TikTok
YouTube.
and social media. But even back then, like you see it all the time. Like NFL players and like celebrities and basketball players and all that. It's like they rise to fame, they get all this money, and then they don't know how to invest it or
Mm-hmm.
how to turn it into profitable like longevity career. So
And I mean,
they
I'm thinking
blow their money,
about,
they
and
spend
to
it,
add
they
to that,
rise, and then you never
YouTube.
hear
I'm
from them
thinking about
again.
like those people
So
that got their videos doing something stupid went viral, so they have to keep doing something stupid, and then they have to do something stupider. That's Jake Paul. You guys know I'm a Paul Brothers hater to my core.
yeah,
Um, and those guys like. To my core, what's that thing like? If
that's your
he
Malcor.
has zero haters on earth, that means I'm dead. Like I cannot stand them. I do not know why. I really do not like them. They're married, so
Didn't he
I
just
think a little bit
impregnate
more
that
than
girl that's like older
impregnated.
than him and they're having a baby?
I think they're married. They could not be. I
Oh,
don't know. They're anyway.
I don't know. No. That was the
Yeah, yeah.
controversy because that
I
girl
like
was
how
like
you
not like she wasn't that
you really
classy or
PC,
like
you reeled it
whatever.
in.
Like she wasn't really modest.
No, but that was what was going viral. I think she has changed her ways.
Because
Yeah,
that's
you're
what they
right. Because
named,
he was
you
going to fight
know?
that guy.
Okay,
He was
okay.
going to fight that guy, and that guy was like releasing all this information about all the
No,
things that
because
she had done. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and I think it was another like lesson there like for the girls. It's like if he wanted to, he would because like at the end of the day, a guy's not gonna care how many like guys he slept with or blah 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 because if you're
We're
his
actually going
dream
to be talking
woman,
about
he's
that in a
going to
little
put a
bit.
ring on it and
I
he's going
have
to wife
tons
you
of
up. So,
yeah. We're going to be talking about that point in
period.
here. Anyway, so yeah, you
Okay, okay, yeah,
guys,
we gotta get
that's what's
going.
going on
Sorry,
with
I know
Coachella.
I'm
Okay, let's go to the next story. The next story is we're switching gears, and it's a little bit more serious, and I kind of just wanted to talk about it because it's what's going on, and I just think it's I don't know, I just think it's something we should be discussing. I hadn't said anything about it at first, and it's the women who are being punched in New York. So I didn't really do a story on it because I was like, oh, that's terrible, but like that's like a one off, like not that big of a deal. But it's actually, or it is a big deal, but like it's not. It's just a one off. But actually,
yeah.
there's been numerous times. So this is from MSN.com. Concerns are being raised after multiple women have documented being punched by a stranger on the streets of New York. On Twitter, one user compiled 4 separate TikToks from 4 different women, all detailing how they have been randomly punched by a man in New York. The post reads, "This is nuts. There are a bunch of women being punched." And then I'm going to read this
Wow.
part from New York Times. There's multiple articles on it that I'll link for you guys, and it goes, "There's been at least 14 cases reported in the city since March 20th. In one case, Stephanie Wang, 33, was walking Union Square when she was approached from behind and struck in the face. That incident came hours after another woman, Ashley Cruz, 23, was struck without warning while walking on 6th Avenue. More women are inquiring about self-defense classes at Krav Maga experts since October. He had seen a 400% increase in emails and calls in the last 2 weeks alone. For some, self-defense classes alone are not enough to turn the tide. Jenny Jiang, who was headed to 7th train on Court Square around 7 or 11 a.m. last summer, when a drunk man speaking a foreign language approached her. He tried to grab me on the sidewalk.
Crazy.
I said no. He tried to grab me again. I crossed the street trying to get away from him, and he was following me. There were people around, but they weren't helping me. I knew I had to turn around and confront him and confront the problem. And I told him, if you touch me again, I'll fight back. With that, the man yelled at her and backed away. End quote. She credits her 2 years of Krav Maga classes with helping her fend her off. She felt more assertive, and Krav Maga has changed her body and the way she carries herself. So essentially, I just wanted to talk about there are these
Wow.
things that are going on, and then what can we do, like tips to protect ourselves. I did some research. A lot of it is saying, like, we should be learning to fight and things like that. Women, we should be. The only thing I have to say about, like, I don't disagree. I actually, eventually when I get like my schedule better, I do want to. My brother takes cross one day. Eventually,
You're like
one day
eventually.
I want to do. My brother does
You're like,
Krav
it's
Maga.
not a
I want to
priority right
join
now.
him in his Krav Maga classes. Yeah, my brother does Krav Maga with some of his friends, and there's like girls in the
Oh
class too. So
wow.
I want to join him. Yeah, and for a multitude of reasons, but I
That's
do
pretty
think it
cool.
is just good information to have, and I think these are good. But when I really think about it, like if I'm walking and someone is punching, like I don't know if you have the presence of mind to maybe teach you, like if someone comes behind you. But my thing is, like, I didn't the articles I found,
Yeah.
I didn't see,
Mm.
or the articles I linked, I didn't see it. I'll try to find it hopefully and like link it, and if not, you guys can find it. One of the things I read somewhere or like heard on a podcast is like a lot of these women were on their phones, and I think that is probably the biggest tip. Like, I think when you're in these crowded areas, we have the tendency, I mean, I do this all the time. Yes,
Don't
you're
seem
not
like an
paying
easy
attention,
target.
and that's such like I mean, I do it all the time, and like I want to be more cognizant of that. I think that is probably the biggest tip is like when you're in town, like when you're walking in a big street in town, have only one headphone in. I think you should only have one headphone in. Sure, listen to music or whatever, but like have the other one out so you can like be cognizant of what's going around you and don't be on your phone. I think that's probably the biggest tip. Learn self-defense, get pepper spray, look at the rules, look at the laws in your town, but like
Yeah. And yeah, and honestly, try not to
mm-hmm.
be on your phone. Try to have like as minimal things as possible on, especially if you're going to like a city that you don't know. Even if you do know, and then try to be in like well lit areas. I mean, I had very, very strict protocols when I was living in Dallas because like I was alone, I didn't have family. I mean, all the things that you can think
Yeah.
of, I was very much an easy target, but I kept safe because I was staying prayed up. I literally believe like God will guard you. His angels will protect you. You have to stay prayed up, but also like doing tangible things. Like, I never pumped gas when it was dark. I pretty much
Yeah, I was gonna
stuck
say,
around
well,
my
maybe you should
area.
leave your
I
home.
didn't go out of my house. Well,
Yeah, no,
I
you're
kind of took
right.
things extreme. Like I wouldn't leave my house if it was already dark. But but like I just try and like trying to take different even like I don't know, but I'm just like freaked out about everything. Like not trusting people. You don't need to tell people where you live or where you're going or what route you take. Try to take different routes so that your route is never like memorized by someone that could potentially be looking at you. Just little things like that. Always heard like make it seem like your husband's waiting for you at home or your or boyfriend, even if you're single, like they don't need to know that. Even if you're on like vacation or you're on a work trip, because I used to travel to work to Dallas. First, I lived in a city where I didn't have family or friends, and I was single. Second, once I went back to Houston and lived with my family, I was still traveling to work in Dallas, where I was staying in hotel rooms, having to, check in early, clock out, or not clock out, but like check out late and stuff like that. So that's what helped me. But I think at the end of the day, too, it has a lot to do with like the city's rules and regulations and how they approach crime. Like, obviously, New York is a very liberal city. That is not a surprise. And I feel even in Houston, our governors and like our city, councils and leaders and stuff, they've gotten really very lenient on the crime because it's not seen as like a bad crime, but it still is. If women are literally being felt like unconscious in the ground and their head is like a freaking golf ball sticking out of their face, like that should be very concerning. So I think it sucks that we live in a day or like in place where like things like that could happen, and our leaders, instead of protecting us, are just kind of like, oh, it's not that bad, it's
Mm,
not that important. And these criminals are being basically emboldened to do their crimes that they're doing because they know
yeah.
they're just going to get a slap on the wrist. So that's my little 2 cents. But yeah, it is getting crazy out here. I was just telling my friend that like yesterday I went to a coffee shop in the city, and this man, he was probably like not much older than me. I was like I had went up the ramp because it was like a little coffee shop, so I was going up the ramp, and I guess I took long to open the door, and they were like trying to get past me, and the guy's like, excuse you. And I was just like, even just like the suburb to city life is such a big difference. Like I didn't realize that. And I was
You're
honestly
like looking
shook. Like
around
I was
like,
like, did he
is
just
he
was
talking
he
to you?
really talking to me? And he had to have been because there's no one around. And I was just telling my friend, oh no, like I miss the yeah, I literally told her I was like, I miss the suburb life. Like this is not it for me anymore. Like it's not that serious. Like to me, like your priorities do change. I believe like especially as you get older, you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll take my livelihood for $1,000,000. Thanks, please. Like you just don't do the same stuff just because it's like it's not worth it. Like to me, it's not worth going out to a coffee shop in
Yeah.
the city where I could
Yeah.
potentially
I
get
definitely
robbed.
agree with what you said about like
Like no, I'll
being
just go down the
like
street here
attentive
and
and
like
cautious
I'll
and
be
like
okay.
I think another thing is like
So
using wisdom. If you truly feel as if something is like not safe, listening to that. I remember, and I think I've said this on the podcast before. I remember
yeah,
years ago when like back when Oprah had her show, I remember she had some guy on or whatever,
yeah,
and they said something like, if you're ever in an elevator and you get a feeling like you should not be in the elevator with this person, listen to that feeling. And I think, and
yeah.
sometimes we get that feeling because we just listened to 6 true crime episodes back to back and now we're hyper. So sometimes you get that feeling because of that, and then sometimes it truly is something. So I think just like being aware of that, and then number two, if you truly feel uncomfortable saying something, but also because like there is a fine line, because sometimes you are just uncomfortable because like I said, you just listen Yeah, and you don't want to like, scream at someone and the guy's like, I'm just hitting you. You dropped your credit card,
Like you're just kind of over
and you
exaggerating.
think he's going
Yeah,
to like murder you. So you just also have to be like, yeah, well, you just have to just be self-aware enough of like what's going on and be aware of your surroundings. I think
that's
that's
me.
probably the biggest thing. And like, I was talking to my dad about everything going on. He thinks it's all coordinated, which I don't know. Like, he thinks it's really suspicious that all of these women. He's like, so why is it all women? And
Yeah,
he was like, and he got in New York
yeah. Well, speaking of that, there was a guy on
by
TikTok. He said he
gunpoint
got
by one of
robbed.
the punchers.
But anyways, in gun, what is it called? At gunpoint. Mm-hmm. By not the punchers, but he said that he was at a very like his hotel. It was close by to this like Italian
But
restaurant,
the
and
guy
he had his
knew.
Rolex. But he's like, I never showed my Rolex. His big thing was like he was so shook because he's like, I never showed my Rolex. I was in the restaurant. I never like showed my watch. He's like, I don't know if the people
Oh
at the
shoot.
wait like the waiters, the waitresses who were serving me, if they maybe were behind it and were like, hey, this guy has like a freaking nice watch. Because he was like, once I got out of the restaurant, right around the corner, bam! He's like, I looked up and there was a gun pointing straight to my
Oh,
head and telling to
right.
give him the watch, give him the watch. And he was just freaked out. Poor thing. He was like still crying too. I was like, not the guys too. Yeah, it was crazy. And I was like, and after that, I was like, maybe I'm not gonna book my flight to New York. Like, honestly, now I think like the world has just
See,
gone so
and to
crazy
me, that
to
means they
like, I'm
win.
sorry,
Like,
but
I
a
think we
cute
just
little
have
trip
to
to New
be,
York is just not
we
gonna be
have to be
it
on
in my
top. Like,
future.
we just have to be
No thanks.
cautious and like, I don't know. Sometimes you
I
just can't prevent things, but
know.
I hate that
Yeah.
idea that people don't want to do stuff. Even like solo traveling. I know that like, a lot of people are anti solo traveling, and it's like, no, like, if the more we like kind of
Yeah. No, no,
change
no.
our
It
routine,
does
the more we
suck.
act afraid, that means they win. But then at the same time, once you gotta use wisdom. You gotta, and like I've said before, obviously don't go out in the middle of the street naked. You know,
Yes.
in the middle of midnight. Yeah, don't. Right. Don't do that. But like,
Yeah, like in the
I
middle of the
just we
midnight trying to
gotta
look for a
do
place to
stuff.
eat with your nice clothes and nice stuff. Yeah. Or like even riding the subway, like I feel like
Yeah,
back then, like I was probably like 24 the last time I went to New York by myself, and I rode the train. I mean, I rode the subway by myself, like, and I had
they
no issues.
could.
But then
That's
it's like,
possible.
well,
That's
crazy
possible.
person can go
It's
in and have a
that's
knife and like literally
yeah.
stab everyone. You know what
No,
I mean?
like that.
Like
You're the
it's just weird. It's
responsible
just
one, and
it's
this
just
is
not to
something I am
use.
working on because, like,
But that's just
and to me,
me.
I'm like,
I think
and you
about
know what? That like we can take him the whole train. Like, we will not let this guy win, and if he does, someone will tell our story, and like, all my other friends are like, just don't go. Yeah, yeah. That's why we're a good balance. Yeah,
I feel like
and that
we
is
need to
something
be each
I'm
other's
working on. Like,
friends.
I'm just like,
We gotta
and if
balance
it
each other.
happens, it happens, and
Anyways,
someone will
okay.
tell our story, and this will not be the end. And everybody's like, hey, but it doesn't have to happen.
See, like
um,
I'm like the worst person you want to get stuck in a like crisis because I'm gonna run.
yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do our last story. Let us know if you guys have any other
Okay,
tips
we gotta
for
wrap it up. I
girls.
gotta get done in like 10 minutes.
When we're out in public. Okay, last story is a relationship thing, and I have so much. I heard this,
Yes,
and I
keep
was
us
like, oh,
safe,
I have
Queen.
so much thoughts. So, you guys, 1 second, I'm gonna pull it up. It is a clip from Kristen
I'm out. I'm just kidding.
Calavery.
How many dates till you sleep with a guy? I've been on this thing in the last
Oh,
like 2 years, maybe, of being like, you should make him wait like 3 or 4 dates. I don't think it fucking matters. It doesn't fucking matter
Cavalier.
if you sleep with him the first date or the 10th date. If there is chemistry and feelings there, it doesn't matter. I saw this relationship coach post.
Okay, that's all the clip because that's essentially what she's gonna say. So I want to go first, really quick. This is gonna be kind of controversial, and I know that like, just listen to the full what I'm gonna say. Everyone that's Christian, she is correct. Okay, I'm not saying what she is right. I'm just saying like she is correct.
Okay.
Guys do not care. I know plenty of girls who have done that, and that is, to me as a Christian, that's not the right thing to do. Okay, I know plenty of yeah. Let's just go ahead and say that I don't think that's the right thing to do as a Christian. But there are plenty of guys
Right.
who
Let's get that on the
will and do
picture.
not care. I know people who are married from that. Some of them are now Christians, or some of them now practice a Christian ethic and they have repented and moved forward. And some of them aren't, you know, some of them are like, yeah, that's what we did. And what about it? You know? So the reality is,
Right.
so that's the reality of everything. But this is why I've said before, and I will continue to say, that is not why we don't do those things. We are not abstinent because we want a guy to like us. I think that is, right, we're not abstinent to be rewarded. That is probably the biggest lie. I personally feel like I was taught growing up.
You want to be
You're not
rewarded.
abstinent to be
Yeah.
rewarded. We're abstinent because that's what God has called us to do. You are abstinent because that is,
Yes.
God wants us to be holy. Yeah, it's your choice. God wants us to be holy, and this is a
Right.
step in holiness. Okay? So, like, I
Your
think that,
choice.
like, unfortunately, she is right. Unfortunately, like, that is how society is. I'm
Right.
sorry. Like, I'm thinking of, like, someone now, one of my friends that's married. Like,
No, I agree with you. I agree. I think like you just, and that's why, and I think it's so important to realize like you really can't take someone's relationship advice and follow it to a T, because their story on how they met and how their relationship worked is not going to be the same for you. And I was just realizing this because obviously I am in a relationship, and it's just crazy to be like obviously I'm not married, I'm not engaged, but I'm in this relationship space where like I've been in a relationship with someone for quite a few months now, obviously a little bit over a year. And then it's like I was single for a long time, right? So it's like I kind of get these different perspectives. And now it's like, now that I'm in a relationship, I'm like, wait a second, we're all so different. Relationship advice should not be taken like to the T, because every single person is different. Every relationship is different. But like, and so these generalizations, it's just what they are. They're generalizations. It doesn't mean that it's going to fit you shouldn't like, just because you do X, Y, and Z, you're going to get same result as that person's telling you that you're going to do, you know?
mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we go wrong, because if a lot of people are going to end things that shouldn't end because of some relationship advice that they got on TikTok, or
Yeah.
vice versa, they're not going to end things because they think that they're on the right track and it turns out that they're not, you know? So I think a lot of these blanket statements are doing more harm than good. And a lot of it is formulas, like this is this formula to make them crazy about you. This is formula. And it's honestly kind of like annoying, and it's also kind of like disgusting, because you're like, they're using our vulnerability as women and less single women, that obviously, yes, we want to be with someone, we want to have that long lasting fairy tale love, and so they're kind of using our vulnerability to like profit off of us, if I'm like trying to make sense, because it's like they're trying to tell you that this formula is going to work, and like this is the exact formula to keep a man or to have a man. And to your point, it's not. Like the Kristen Cavallari girl said, you can sleep on him the first night or not. If they like you, they like you,
Oh, yes,
period.
yes, yes,
Same
yes,
thing
yes,
with the
yes.
guy, that guy, the one we just talked about,
I
the
think
one you
so.
hate.
That was, yeah, yeah.
How he, like, that girl was like essentially like what, like an OnlyFans girl,
Yeah.
right? Like she she's
Yeah.
basically not like housewife. Let's just say that. And he was like, "This is my girl. I'm gonna marry her. I'm gonna stick by her." Okay, but it's true. If the guy likes you, they like you, and if they don't, no matter what you try or how hard you try, they say women we're emotionally invested, so we see things as like the potential, and like, oh, if I like. We see it as like, if we do more, we will get
Yeah.
rewarded with more, and that's just not the case with men. Like if they don't like you in the first day, they're probably not gonna like you ever. It's a you never hear a man say, "Oh, she just wasn't really into her, but she just did so much for me. She just helped me so
Yeah.
much, and she did so much, and she gave up so much, and she sacrificed so much. So I'm just in love with her now." Like that doesn't work. As a woman, I think it does work. Like, oh well, I friend zoned
Yeah.
him, and then finally gave him a chance, and like here we
I
are, we're in
definitely
this
don't.
like loving,
I
healthy,
think
loving
you're right on
relationship.
that. And I think
You
like
hear that
that's
more
why as
often, but I
Christians,
don't think
like,
I hear it
we have to go by
like
that
from a guy's
standard. We
side.
can't go, you're
So.
so right about taking everybody's advice. I mean, ladies, you cannot take everybody's advice. You gotta go by like the biblical standard. Yeah. And even to also another thing, I noticed this.
Like, it honestly gives me
Back when I
anxiety.
was like a couple years, when I was like trying to go on more dates, now I'm just like, whatever happens, whatever happens. Some guy's gonna have to like bring someone to me anyway. Back when I was doing that, I was reading a bunch of books on dating, and one of the things in the
Right.
dating thing that they say for girls is like, you kind of have to act hard to get. And sometimes I will watch like back now it's so pickup, there was this thing
Yeah.
called pickup artists. they kind of bled into like the red pill, but the pickup artist people were, to me, they were funny. So I would watch like the pickup artists.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they say is to be hard to get. If we're both being hard to get, how are we going to get anything? So like that's another thing too. Like all of this advice, I remember looking at that like, okay, if we're both playing hard to get, like we're never going to have a relationship. So I think a lot of it, you're right. A lot of it is just like manipulation, and a lot of it is like, yeah. Keep talking. I need to get my charger. Keep talking.
It's yeah. Yeah, and I think yeah, I know, because you're kind of going on and off. Yeah, no, I think like once I started realizing so many people were like just saying different things, and I'm like, wait a second, like this doesn't make sense. Because to your point, like people are so different, and there's going to be seasons like people are like, oh, it should be 50-50, but then there was other people are like, well, there's going to be times where like you're doing a lot more, you're kind of lifting the burdens off of your partner, and isn't it supposed to be like sacrificial? So what's the whole point of like, oh, just whenever it's convenient? Like love shouldn't be convenient, it should be sacrificial, and like you're basically there to serve each other, right? And that's why the Christian dating is how it is because it's to serve one another, and it leads to marriage. It's not really leading for each other's happiness, really, you know? So that's why I think the whole relationship advice is just take it with a grain of salt, because you're gonna end up, and also it's like, and honestly, even if you're not Christian, like just like put it this way, like why would you want to follow a formula and try, you're gonna get someone that you're then gonna have to maintain a
Yeah.
certain a certain persona, and like, oh, like I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but I'm a texter, I'm a, like I want to text you, if I want to call you, if I want to do this, like I should be
Yeah.
myself. And if you don't
Yeah.
like that, then you're probably not the person for me then, you know?
It does. And
Like
like you're so
point
right.
blank period. Like
You
that's
would
just
have to keep
exhausting. You're
up
the
with
same way you're
the
getting them is the
person
same
you're
way you gotta keep
pretending to
them
be.
or lose
So
them.
it's just, and
So
it's
that just sounds,
manipulation.
honestly,
It's
that sounds
like
more exhausting, to be
I don't
honest.
know. Like sometimes like I look at those books, I think there's some good nuggets, because sometimes you do need to learn some things. Like you know
Yeah.
that yeah.
It's a little like more practical. Like I do think sometimes like even like
Yeah.
Bible study, or like when you go to church, or like, love is God and blah blah blah, but they don't really
Ye-
tangibly say like what that really looks like in relationships and boundaries and stuff like that. So I do think those
yeah.
things are practical and stuff, but it's just like don't follow things to the T and then accept get the same results. Or I guess idolize, right? That's what the Bible tells us not to idolize, because you can make relationship girls and idolize them, or relationship advice and idolize that, or your
Yeah.
boyfriend, idolize your
Yeah.
boyfriend, or
Yeah.
idolize your husband, you know? So that has
Yeah.
comes
And
back
like
to like
last thing I'm gonna say on
really
it is
just
I just think that
knowing when to not
it's just so
give all the way in,
important for us to
like
just
listen to every
realize
single thing
like
and
like
just discernment.
don't everybody that has like a relationship, I'll teach you how to be in a relationship with these 10 easy steps, pay me $300. Like they're trying to manipulate you, and like you are going to start manipulating your partner, and that partner isn't going to love you. They're going to love a version of you that was made, that doesn't even exist. And like once again, there are practical things, like that book that was really famous, Why Men Love B Words. I read that book, and there was like tiny things
That
in
doesn't even
there.
exist.
Well, there were some things in there that I thought were really like good. Like one of the things that like I had to learn, yeah, like one of the things that I learned in there is like, so I used to be, when I was dating someone, like I kind of was that girl that would like,
Yeah,
if you
you're
wanted
like,
to hang
okay, this
out,
makes
okay, sorry
sense.
guys, I gotta do this.
Yeah.
And like, not only is that annoying to my friends, it's also kind of too much for a guy. Like a guy's gonna be like, okay, she made plans to be with her friends, and she's talking about all week, but all of a sudden she wants to hang out with me when like she's not committed to her friend. It's like that could be a little bit too much, and like I didn't think of that. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like people can lose respect for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like you also just kind of learn like how to honor your commitments and honor your word and your commitments and who you are. Again, that takes a lot of trial and error. And I don't want someone to think like the last thing I want is like that's one thing. It's like a lot of women
Right.
are gonna they come and say, I am so confident and I hold my boundaries and I don't got time for you. But it's like, okay, yeah, but weren't you at a point in your life where you weren't like that, you know? And I think there has to be a middle ground of like, hey, it's okay if you're not this person today, but just know that you can be that person that sets boundaries. You can be that person that like says, you know what, I'm gonna have my own hobbies, my own, like I'm gonna have strict boundaries in my relationships and my friendships and everything. Like you
A
don't
hundred
have to start
percent.
like go 0 to 100. Like you can work your way towards that. You can become that. But I think it's like, again, and a lot of the stuff you see on social media is like extremism. Like you see someone that's like, and it's just like you
Yeah.
might not be there today, but you can get there. And it also makes you feel like even worse about yourself because you're sitting there like, well, dang, like I just told this guy all my deepest dark secrets, you know? It's like, but it's like, okay, like let's start a clean slate. And honestly,
Yeah.
what I learned, it's like no matter how your past has been or how like, you know, how many mistakes you've made or whatever, to the right person, like none of that's gonna scare them away.
Yeah.
And no
Yeah. And
no
as long as you
conversation
like,
or
and
boundary or
just to
whatever for
truly
the right
put a
person is
bow
going
on
to be
this,
too
like
much for that
if
person
you
if
have
that's
that
the person you're meant
past
to
and
be
you're
with.
feeling,
So
and you're a
just
Christian now
remember
and you're
that.
feeling
Yeah.
so like defeated, like no one's gonna love me, this and that, like that is such a lie.
Yes.
It is absolutely possible, especially if you are repentant. Like that, I think that's also the different. I mean, people, like I said, I do know a couple that's like, yeah, we did, and what about it? But like, you know, if you're trying to be a Christian, you know, as long as you're repentant, that a guy will look like a guy will. How can a man hold you to that if you've repented? Like, how can he hold you to that?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also like, well, it's also like also too just again loving yourself and having a relationship with yourself, which means having a relationship with
Mm.
God because you're gonna learn like, okay, like why am I reacting this way? Like what is it about me that I'm attracting this kind of person or I'm attracting these qualities or I'm accepting of these qualities and characteristics because then you'll realize like to your point, like, oh, if I was that person in a relationship
Mm-hmm.
then where
Mm-hmm.
I was like I would drop everyone for my boyfriend, then it's like, what is it about me that I feel like I have to honor, like I have to
It's
you know,
insecurity.
not honor the commitments that I made with
Mm-hmm.
my friends or other people. Like, why do I feel like I
Mm-hmm.
need to cancel everything and make this person
100%.
the center of the world? Because more than
And
likely,
I
it all goes back to
Yeah,
you
and I think
and what
like what you
you
said,
have
like
going
that,
on
I know
inside
for
of you
myself
than
when I
with
was
other
younger,
people. You
when I was
know,
doing
it's
things like
just
that was
a lot of like
insecurity. And I think that's
projections.
why it's
So,
also important in your
anyways, that's my
single
little
season.
last bit.
Like you're not gonna know this is nothing I learned. You're not gonna know that you're healed from something until you're in that situation. That's where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm fine, I'm healed. You're not gonna really know until you're in the situation. But like I do think in your single season, that's something you need to work on. And I have been working on that personally in my life. Like, you
Right.
know, anyway, we're not talking about my dating, but like yeah, that's I think my point is though, like if you feel that way, if that's something that you struggled with,
Yeah.
like that is an insecurity. Yeah.
Figure out why you do that. Yeah. And honestly, and they say, okay, yeah, well, you have to be in a relationship. But honestly, it's honoring yourself. Like you and yourself are in a relationship. You and God are in a relationship. You
Yeah.
and your friends are in a relationship. So it's like if you can't honor your commitments with them or you can be honest and truthful to them, like that's gonna
Yeah.
reflect in your relationship. It's no different, you know? Except that obviously you're in a romantic relationship versus more platonic, but
And
you
that's
get my
making an
gist, you know?
idol.
So I think the best thing you could do is like not make someone the center of your life because that
Mm-hmm.
it could be
Mm-hmm.
easily taken away or whatever, right? It's contingent upon that person,
Mm-hmm.
and you never want to be at the mercy of that. It's like have your own hobbies, have your own life, have your own friends, have your own relationship with God. Because even if people fail, which they will, and even if you are in a really good relationship, there's things that are going to happen, and some you're not always going to be happy. You're not always going to be
Yeah.
rainbows and sunshines. But it's like, all
Yeah,
right,
and
I know how to anchor myself through my relationship with God and
and
other
that's your
people.
relationship
So
advice with Mal and
yeah,
Isabel.
that's what's gonna carry you through.
Yay!
But anyways, that's it.
Thank you
That is
guys
for
so
relationship
much
advice.
for
That would be
listening. And
$200.
Isabel, thank
Okay.
you so much for coming. I thought this was a great episode. Definitely share this with your friends. This was
Yay!
very pop culturally girly pop. This was a good girly pop episode.
Of
Share this with
course.
your friends. Yeah. Leave us
Yes.
a review. Let us know on the reviews. Do you like girly pop episodes? Did you think this
Girly
was
pop.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
trendy.
Let us know. Let us know. Um, make sure you rate, review, subscribe wherever you're listening. Apple,
What do you want us to talk
Spotify,
less about or more
YouTube,
about? You know, that's always
wherever
good.
else people listen to these things. Let us know. Yeah.
And reach out to us via DM. I'm on Style and Smile. I love talking to you guys, especially on the DMs. Especially if you
Yeah.
follow like the podcast. Like I love to know where like my followers come from. Like did you see me at the store? Or did we
And we're
bump into
excited
each
to see
other
the next
outside
one. No
of, you
pressure or
know, whatever?
anything.
Just kidding.
But we're excited to see the
She
next
followed me
one.
for
Yeah.
my viral reel.
Um But yeah, thank you guys, everybody,
No
for
pressure, no
listening.
pressure.
Have
I
a
gotta post the
good
A. That
day, night,
reminds me,
evening,
Queen.
however where
Okay.
you're listening. Bye.
Bye.